our series on gratitude and how it works and what it does and why it does what it does. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Sarah. And we're going to explain all of these things to you so that it can benefit you as well. Okay, so it's worked wonders in my life, and I never wondered, I never really, kind of wondered about it until lately, and I go, wait a minute, how does gratitude specifically work? Because before I used to just say, I don't know how it works, I just know it works, right? So then, of course, I got curious, and I'm like, okay, how does this thing work? How does gratitude work, right? And I'm like, okay, well, let's do some research, and yeah, so gratitude works in a very profound manner, okay? It shifts your focus towards abundance, okay? Because when you're being grateful, good morning, when you're being grateful, what are you really doing, right? When you're being grateful, you are being grateful for abundance. So you remember how I always tell you guys, right? The topic, right? So the topic is abundance when you're being grateful because you're being grateful for something you receive, okay? Abundance, things you receive, okay? Because if you didn't receive anything, right? If you don't have anything, then there's nothing, okay? And so you have to be grateful for something. You can't be grateful for nothing. Although I guess it's possible. I guess that is possible. But whatever you focus on tends to grow. Okay, that's one of the laws of the universe. Whatever you focus on intensifies in here, in the kingdom. Okay, now let's talk about the kingdom because Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. Okay, and when you start to understand the separation between body and spirit, you begin to understand that. Okay, so now it rewires your emotional state. How does that happen? How does gratitude do that? Because it shifts you out of fear. Because if you're grateful for something, you're saying, I have this, and I'm grateful for this, I'm thankful for this, right? And now you're acknowledging that you have something, right? And that you're shifting from scarcity to having something, to abundance. Okay, although you may not have a large quantity of it, so let's say it's money. Let's say you're grateful for $100. Maybe you don't have $100,000, but you're going to be grateful for this $100 and it will grow because your focus is applied to it. Okay, no, people still don't know how that works. Like, okay, how does that work, Uncle? All right, so it works like this. When you're grateful for something, let's say it's $100, okay? And let's say you want to grow that. Now, when you focus on it, you're focused on having, okay? Which is abundance, which is something, versus nothing, versus scarcity or let's say lack or zero, okay? So now that you're focused on it, what do you get more of? You get more of that. How does that work? Well, you begin to be positive. You begin to attract positive circumstances because in your subconscious looks for evidence. Okay, evidence. Now, if you're grateful for the $100, what is the topic? The topic is $100. So what does your subconscious do? Well, maybe you could do this to earn another $100. Maybe you could do this to earn another $100. Maybe you could save money to get another $100. Maybe you could do this to, you see what I'm saying? That's how it works. It's not magic. It's not, manifestation is not magic. It's your subconscious. But you can train your subconscious to serve you. My subconscious serves me every single day. Okay? The Russian writer Leon Trotsky said, success is living in your own way. Okay? So, but in order to get to your own way, you have to do a little bit of work. Okay? I had to do a lot of work. A lot of work. And I'm not talking about manual labor kind of work. I'm not talking about physical work. I'm talking about work here. Okay? It starts in here, mind over matter. We can say it that way. Okay? We can say apply your focus. We can say you do your affirmations, right? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. But you have to do the mental work. If you're just in the physical world, okay, you're a spirit in here. Okay, you're not your body, you're not your brain, you're that energy that lives in here, that spirit that lives in here. Okay, but if you don't understand the difference between the body and the spirit and the separation thereof, and that this is the physical world out here, and that this is an illusion because it just came from someone else's in here, okay, or a collective group of other people that keep building it, right? Then you're going to be physically sucked into these things and identify with these things. And you're not going to realize the power that you have in here. Because now you're distracted into the system. Now you're distracted into, the educational system or the work system or the industrial system, the industry. Okay, you're going to be sucked into all of that. Then where do you put your faith? Well, you start putting your faith in those things. Why? Because they work for you. Okay. And this is why a lot of, people that are, let's say, ahead in their industry, the people at the top of their industry, they forget about the spiritual aspect of things. Why? Because they're so into the physical aspects of everything. But I'm here to tell you, it works. And it's not a lot of physical work. It's more mental work. It's more of how you see things. And how you see things depends on what you believe. And your beliefs, your core beliefs, make up your subconscious. Okay, so your subconscious is a culmination of all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your actions, everything you've done in your whole life. Okay, and your beliefs are formed in the subconscious. Your life path is born out of the subconscious beliefs. Okay, so you start to live as you believe, and it depends on what you believe. There are some people that subscribe to fear-based ideologies. And guess what? They live in fear. Okay. Now, on the surface, some of these ideologies, some of these entities that project these things, okay, keep people in fear, and the fear is an underlying current, okay, because there's, this underlying, well, if you don't do this, if you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. Well, if you don't do this, you go to hell. If you don't do this, you see, so there's all these foundational fear-based ideologies, okay? And it's everywhere. It's not just in religion, it's not just in government, it's everywhere. Okay, it's in a lot of things. It's in clubs, it's in organizations. You don't turn this in on time, you get fined. You don't do this on time, you fail the class. Whatever. There's a lot of this stuff. Thundercracker, okay. Proposed mechanism for macroscopic quantum branch selection with collective human observation. Okay. And what's your point? Put your point down. So, what I'm really telling you is that the question becomes, what is the driver behind the action? In other words, what's motivating you? Are you being motivated by fear, or are you being motivated by love? What? Yeah, so let's say it another way so it becomes more physical world friendly. Are you doing things because you feel you have to do them? Or are you doing things because you want to do them? Because you love to do them? Because, you see, there's a difference, okay? There's a difference. When you're doing things because you have to do them, there's a driver. And that driver is usually negative. Anything out of fear is negative. Fear is the devil. Because all negative emotions are rooted in fear. So what happens when you feel you have to do something? Okay? Does worry play into that? Of course it does. Why? Because at some point you're worried. Well, I don't know, I'm a little late with my assignment. I don't know if I'm going to fail the class. So you start to worry. Okay? Worry is like praying for something bad to happen. Don't worry. Let it go. Wait until something happens and then deal with it. So many people preoccupy their time. Okay, your time is your life. They preoccupy their life, their time, worrying about things, wondering about things. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if that's going to happen. What if that happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? Okay. And what's the result of that? Wasted time, wasted energy. If you want to be productive, stop worrying. It's the number one killer of productivity. My executives know this. My executives wait until there's a problem. They foresee as much as they can. They deal with as much as they can. But then they can't really fix anything if it's not broken. Okay? So because okay, thank you, Thunderquacker. Yeah, so E equals MC squared is a flawed formula. It's a flawed formula. We all know that. Yeah. Anyway, most of us know that. So I guess the truthers know that. Okay. Yeah. And there's a back end to Einstein, so yeah, I'm not going to get into that. That's a little too deep for my audience. All right. So now, we have a chat going on over here, just so you guys know. So now the things that you feel you should do because you feel you have to do. If you're living your life like that, you're not being true to yourself. Okay? I had a client that is tops in her field. She's an attorney. She's at the top of the mountain in her field as an attorney. And she had to start recognizing the spiritual in order to deal with the physical. Okay, because when you go through the physical side of things, okay, you go through elementary through high school. Okay, you graduate high school, then you get into college, then you get into grad school, then you get into law school or med school or whatever it is. Engineering, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You've been conditioned all the way through. Okay? And now, then what happens? You get into the job. Then what happens? You tend to identify with the job, the position, the title, the degree. You start to identify with all those things, even though you're in here. Okay? Now, when that happens, what happens? You take yourself, it's like taking yourself and going, okay, I'm that, and putting it over there, out there, in the physical world. Because that's your shingle, that's the representation of you. And when you identify it, you lose the identity in here. Okay, because you're in here. You're not a body, you're not your name. You're not your body. Okay? You've been assigned a name. You're that spirit that lives in here. You're a spiritual being having a physical existence. This is eternal. This does not extinguish. It does not extinguish. And we're here for a short period of time. I always say life is short. Live your dreams. Why? Because you're here to experience. Now, some of us are here to experience suffering. Some of us are here to experience pleasure. Some of us are here to experience purpose. Some of us are here to experience, right? Whatever it is they're here to experience. But you need to identify your life purpose. What is your life purpose? How do you find that out? You need to think about it, because if you're constantly distracted into the physical world, what happens? You lose your identity. Okay, you lose your identity as a child of God. Your birthright is abundance, but you get sucked into the system that's been out here, placed out here for you, to be born into, to work into, to pay taxes into, to earn money into, right? So the majority of people sign up for everything. You have to sign up for everything in the United States. You have to sign into prison. You sign up for everything. And a lot of people end up 40 years old, 45 years old, then they come to me as professionals. I deal with executives. I do this for free for you guys. Okay. As professionals, they come to me and they go, there's something wrong. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with this whole picture. And I'm like, yeah. Because you get into this conditioning. It starts in kindergarten, right? You get your first 12-step program, first grade through high school, 12 grades, 12 steps. Okay, there's 12 apostles, there's 12 steps, there's 12 months, there's 12, okay? 12, 12, 12. Look it up. Now information is everywhere. Look into esoteric knowledge. So 12, your first 12-step program. Hopefully you don't have to go through a 12-step program to recover from this program. A lot of people do. Because that's what it takes. It takes an extraordinary amount of pressure. It takes an extraordinary amount of, right, climbing the ladder. And a lot of damage occurs, collateral damage. Damage to this one, to the kingdom. But the only way that happens is when you focus out here and you don't focus in here. Because God lives in here. There are executives that are fully aware of what's in here. And they just breeze through the process. But if you're distracted, and if you start placing your identity out here in the physical world, that's when you meet with the problem. Okay, so how does gratitude help with this? Well, gratitude assists you with being anchored in here. It shifts your thinking. It aligns you with the frequency of already having. And what does that do? That brings more. Why? Because everyone has a different perception, and when you alter your perception, you can maintain your focus. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're correct. So if you think you live in abundance or you think you live in scarcity, either way you're correct. But you were born for abundance. You're just being subjected to the man-made system. There's man-made, there's God-made. It's important to know the difference. Some people can't tell the difference. They go through their schooling, right? They get their degrees, their whatever, certifications, whatever, it doesn't matter, okay? It's a very shallow existence because it's a man-made existence. It's only deep when God makes it, okay? This is deep in here. Everything else out here is shallow, okay? Besides nature. There's only nature out here and man-made elements out here, okay? God lives in here. So when you're done with your school and okay, now you go through the career, now you go all the way up the ladder, whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Money is worthless in the United States. There's no value to money in the United States. It's just paper. People are slaving for paper. They're trading their energy for paper. They're trading their soul for paper, for digits in a bank account, for digits in a bank. When in actuality, they are the stock. They are the stock in America. Their energy is the stock in America. So they get distracted out here all the way until retirement. Then what happens? Well, they go on a few cruises, take a few trips, and call it a life. Is that a life? For some people. And some people are grateful for that. They appreciate that because that's all they know. All they know are the things that have been placed before them out here in the physical world. And they're totally unaware of what's in here. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. He said that for a reason. He said the kingdom is within so you don't go without. So you don't go out here and seek. Seek and ye shall find in the Holy Bible does not mean you go looking from house to house or down the street for what's yours, or maybe across the country to find what it is that is meaningful for your life. Yeah, there's nice mountains out there, there's nice scenery out there, but wherever you go, there you are. You seek in here. Okay, but you have to close your distractors like this. You have to close your distractors because these distract you into different realities. When this distracts you into the car, you become all about the car, right? Oh, I love that car. Oh, that car is awesome. I'm gonna make that car a goal. So yeah, we're gonna get that car, get that car, get that car. Pretty soon you get the car. After 2 weeks, it's just a car. And then what? Well, there's a hole that has to be filled. So let's get another car. Let's whatever. I know some people that are very, very wealthy. And they have no concept of what's in here. They have no understanding of what's in here. They became wealthy out here. Their knowledge of wealth is out here, not in here. Not the true wealth in the kingdom. So they constantly need to fill that hole that was created. What's the hole all about? It's about not being happy with this one because they don't understand what's in here. Okay? It's like receiving a present for Christmas and you don't like the wrapping paper, so you're unhappy with the present, but you haven't opened it yet. You don't know what's inside. But you haven't opened it yet. And you're unhappy with it because of the way it looks. You're unhappy because of its appearance. You're unhappy because. Some people go through life like that because they're only looking at labels. They're only looking at appearances. They're only looking at superficial, surface level items. They're not looking in here. I know a lot of people that pray, praise God, right? I praise God. I said the Our Father this morning. I said my prayers this morning. I pray the way Jesus taught us to pray. But until you go within, until you experience what Jesus was really teaching us, to go within, go in the kingdom, okay? The 7 seals in Revelation are about the 7 chakras in the body. They're energy centers. It's not about demons. It's not about snakes. It's not about all that stuff, okay? It's about being silent. It's about closing your distractors. It's about going within and experience what Jesus was talking about. The kingdom within. Experience the kingdom. But you can't sit long enough. Why? Well, I think I'm wasting time. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to wash dishes. I should be vacuuming the house. I should be mowing the lawn. I should be. Okay? So every time stillness is a opportunity, or there's an opportunity for stillness, you can't sit still. Why? Because everything is driving you. Okay, we live in a stimulus-filled society. Okay? Dopamine hits. Okay? Adrenaline junkies. Okay? Excitement. And pretty soon things need to be a little more exciting because, well, we're wearing out our nervous system. Because nothing fits the bill anymore, right? Nothing's good enough anymore. So we need to take it to the next level. But because everything is so stimulating, stillness becomes foreign. Stillness becomes, right? Meh. And then you begin to ignore the very thing that's driving your life. This one. Your life unfolds for you like this. It unfolds for you like this. Okay? Life doesn't happen to you like this. It happens like this. Okay? Like this. The path of freedom, we need to go beyond our likes and dislikes, beyond cravings. No, you don't need to, not necessarily. You need to focus on your likes. Ignore your dislikes. Readjust your focus, refocus, reframe. Beyond cravings, no, you should follow your cravings for good things. Yeah, that's your signal, that's your sign. You see, we have it backwards. You've been taught things upside down and backwards. You need to sacrifice this, you need to sacrifice that, you need to go without here, you need to abandon this, abandon that. No. You just need to focus on the right things for you in here, okay? And you know what the right things are, but you don't really appreciate or come into contact with them or discover them or uncover them until you get rid of the junk. What's the junk? Anxiety, guilt, shame, fear, okay, depression, those things. Or just feeling down. Just feeling down because you feel inadequate, because you look around you and you see everybody doing so well and, oh, well, I'm not doing well right now. I'm not doing so well right now. You know, in the old days, before social media, when we weren't doing well, we tried harder. We put a little bit more effort into it. And I'm also here to say that it's not all about efforting either. It's about balance. Effort is necessary with certain things, and certain things do not require effort. Certain things only require thought, because a thought is an action. Thoughts become things. I studied with Mike Dooley from The Secret. He was featured on The Secret with Rhonda Byrne. And his big thing, two things that he taught me more than anything. Number one, thoughts become things. Okay. Number two, and he never taught it to me as subconscious, by the way. Okay. Because when you start teaching people it's subconscious, you take away all the marketing. Okay. Anyway, thoughts become things. Okay. Number two, the how is God's job. He calls it the cursed hows. How do I do this? How do I do that? If I was concerned about how to do things, I would never have gotten anything done in my life. But I was taught that I didn't need to know how, because God knows how. Okay? And we're connected to God in here. And you're a spirit in here. You are a smaller version of the great spirit, okay, that is outside of us. I actually met a religious lady who told me that God is up there in heaven. And I'm like, we're in the heavens? Like in outer space, the ionosphere, right? And she goes, oh, yeah, in heaven. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she told me Jesus was going to be riding on the horse, on Pegasus, through the clouds, coming down to save us. And that's what she learned in Sunday school. And that was the thought that she kept thinking from childhood. And I know people who have been waiting for that since the 70s. So, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. Is God real? Yeah, God is very real. Okay. But God is an energy. That's not God. So whether you want to say God, you want to say source, you want to say universe, you want to say Jesus Christ, you want to say Allah. Okay. So We are smaller units of the greater unit. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm. We are the smaller version of the larger version. We are the smaller picture of the big picture. So this energy that's in us, okay, this energy where the Holy Spirit lives, where God exists, where God works in here. So if God works in here, how come so many people get screwed up? Well, because they ignore. So ignorance, the root word is ignore, ignorance. They ignore the potential. They ignore the good energy. And what happens? They get caught up in the negative energy. And how do they do that? Through their subconscious. Once you lock onto a negative idea, the subconscious goes, oh, that's the topic? Okay, I'll repeat that. And now you're caught up in a negative spiral. You're caught up in a negative loop. It's a loop. Everything is a loop for human beings. The way that you interact with your children is a loop. The way you interact with your boss, okay? You interact differently, right? With everybody. Your boss, your best friend, right? Bestie, right? Classmates, everybody different, right? And then you don't see them for, I don't know, 10, 20 years sometimes. And when you get back together, you pick up right where you left off. Why? Because of your subconscious. You're a lot more advanced than you think. You're a lot more blessed than you think. You know, nowadays people say blessed because of money. They look at somebody who has something and say, oh, you're blessed. No. Blessings have nothing to do with material things, yet material things are blessings. But if you think that material things are the only things that are blessings, or, you know, you look at blessings like that, which is how I see a lot of church people look at blessings. They have no idea. Blessings are in here, and blessings are constant, okay? A blessing is your heart beating, because that can solve everything. The solution to everything is in the kingdom. It's all in here. It's not out there. There is no out there. There's just nature out there and other things from someone else's in here. The people that came before you. And now in the information age, we're finding out, okay, there's a lot of outdated paradigms that we need to get over. Number one, hard work. Hard work. Okay. Oh, I have to work hard. I work hard. I'm a hero because I work hard. No, you're foolish because you work hard. If you're working hard, what are you taking away from? You know, I know people that work hard, they take away from their families because they're not home. Okay, what are the results of that? Their kids become a mess. What happens after that? Well, then they have to work harder to patch up the damage that they created in the first place by working hard. And it's a cycle. And then they look at their children, oh my God, my son's a failure, my daughter's a failure, my grandkids are failures. Really? Or did you set the bar for failure by working hard? Some people work efficiently. Some people work smart. Working hard brings tough consequences. Look at the people that work hard. They get wealthy, right? All that money, right? All that achievement, right? All that accomplishment, right? And then they end up in the HMOs, recovering hard. Why? Because they worked hard. Okay. This outdated paradigm belongs to the industrial age. It belongs to the plantation. Okay. Both the industrial age and the plantation are long gone. Okay. It's time to start working well. It's time to start balancing. Pretty soon, AI will be building everything. And what will humans do? They will serve other humans. Okay, it'll be about sharing commonalities. It'll be about sharing remedies. It'll be about sharing things. Abundance like you've never seen is coming. Now you have a 3D printer. They can print things, physical things. So where's the hard work going to go? AI will replace all the hard work. All the hard work. So if you really look, if you take yourself and you rise above the box and then you look down into the box, and if you look, at your imaginary timeline, timelines are imaginary, time is imaginary. Okay? But if you look at the timeline, the plantation era wasn't that long ago. But everything takes a while to die out. Everything takes a while to fade away, slowly. Okay? And then the new thing is coming in, right? We saw this a long time ago, and we saw, okay, well, everything's going to go online. And so I moved all of our companies online. Everything's online now. Now I'm looking for a way back. Not a permanent way back, just looking for things to do in the physical world, and now everything's digital. Okay, but that's the future. So the mom and pops things, they're all going to fade away. They're all going to go. Somebody who is opening let's say a big store, a big business, brick and mortar kind of thing, right now, are going to be in for a rude awakening. Those things are disappearing. It's time to look ahead. It's time to look at the new things. But it's not an era to work hard in. It's an era to be responsible in. It's an era to work well in. It's an era for thinking. We're not building railroads anymore. We're not building plantations anymore. We're not harvesting sugarcane anymore. We're not harvesting pineapple anymore. At least not here. Sure, these things still exist. But AI will do all of that. Machines will do all of that. All of the heavy lifting will be done by machines very soon. So now you're going to have a lot of people that slowly become displaced. And they have to find things to do in the digital world. Things to accommodate the new world because it's changing. Henry Ford said, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. So very few people are visionaries. Very few people look ahead. Very few people understand what they see in a timeline. They don't see the progression. They don't see the human ability to evolve. They're not looking at that. They're looking at, the good old days. Those are the good old days. Today is not good, screwed up, bad, whatever. I used to work with a lot of people that when the computer age came in, they didn't want to learn. They totally just pushed against it. And those people are lost today. They don't understand the modern world. And slowly they get separated. Slowly they get separated. Because technology jumps and then jumps and then jumps and then jumps exponentially. And in a couple of years, in 5 years, the whole landscape is going to be totally different. In 10 years, another huge difference. In 20 years, maybe unrecognizable from what it is today. In 10 years, you're going to have a 25-year span of a difference. What used to take 25 years to go from here to here, we're going to do in 10 years. And then the following 10 years, whoa, that's going to be amazing. So what are you going to do, right? Okay, go into the kingdom, close your distractors, and ask. Ask, believe, receive. When you ask and you believe in your asking, you will receive. Okay, and gratitude opens the door. Gratitude opens the door. It rewires your emotional state. The more you say thank you, the more good you feel. You know, when you have an angry feeling, when you have a kind of irritating feeling, you're kind of irritated, you're agitated, you don't know why, start saying thank you inside. Say thank you. It starts to dissipate, it starts to dissolve. And eventually you start to feel good. If that doesn't happen for you right away, you've been conditioned very, very well. Okay, and you need to work against your conditioning. Gratitude strengthens resilience. It helps you bounce back. Bounce back from what? From the negative emotions. Everything is how you think and how you feel. Okay? How you think determines how you feel. Happiness is a choice. You choose happiness. Happiness doesn't choose you. I know so many people that go, well, when I get a house, I'll be happy. When I get a car, I'll be happy. When I get this stereo system, I'll be happy. I'll be happy when I get that. I'll be happy when I get this, right? That's not how it works. That's backwards. You've been taught things backwards. You're watching the commercials that tell you, oh, you're going to be happy when you get this recliner because you'll be reclining all day. You'll be happy. That's not how you get the recliner. You get the recliner by being happy first, and then, boom, the recliner shows up. How does that happen? Well, you get happy, right? More money, more opportunities. You see the recliner in a commercial, then you buy the recliner, then yeah, okay. The other way around, well, maybe you have to wait. Maybe you have to wait longer. Maybe the negativity is bringing so many bills, everything gets sucked out the door that way. Not enough money for the recliner yet. Try the happiness first. It works. Okay, here, start like this. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Okay, why confidence? Because confidence brings clarity. Confidence is an inner relaxed feeling. And that inner relaxed feeling is the absence of anxiety. It's the absence of fear. It's the absence of worry. Okay, worry is like praying for something bad to happen. Okay, don't worry. Wait till something happens, then address it. Wait till something happens, then deal with it. Most of the things you worry about will never happen. Never happen. It's your imagination. It's the amygdala, right? After 6 seconds of a negative thought, the amygdala starts giving you variations on a theme of negative what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? Right? What if I go bankrupt? What if nuclear war breaks out? What if? And pretty soon you scare the crap out of yourself. Pretty soon you're so far down in a negative spiral like this, going going down in mood. And the more negative you become, the more negative things you attract through your subconscious. Why? Because the subconscious looks for evidence, right? Now the belief is feeling down, depressed, anxiety, whatever, all of that, negative emotions. The subconscious goes, oh, okay, well, here's something else to be depressed about. Here's something else to be mad at. Here's something else to be anxious about. And now you're caught up in this thing. And what do? You go to therapy to get unscrambled. That's fine. Some people need someone to talk to. But if you need solutions, you need to go into the kingdom. Okay? Solutions. It's all in your Bible. It's also in the Talmud. It's also in the Bhagavad Gita. It's also in the Quran. Just be sure you're reading the right verses. In simple terms, gratitude takes you from whatever you have, increases its value, okay, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and practically. So that now it multiplies your good feelings. It multiplies peace, joy, happiness, love. Gratitude multiplies love. When you're grateful, love comes to you. The more grateful you are, the better things get. You know, I used to wonder, like, okay, how does gratitude work? It conditions you mentally. Conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Okay? Your 3 states of awareness all get affected by gratitude. All of them. Okay? Your conscious mind chooses what to be grateful for. Okay, you get 80,000 thoughts a day. Some of those thoughts should be applied to gratitude. Okay? So the conscious mind chooses gratitude, the subconscious stores gratitude and starts to repeat it as a program. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Shane says, love your knowledge. The subconscious mind stores it and starts to repeat it. So all you need to do is start it. Then you get in the habit of being grateful. I say, thank you, Father God, throughout the day, every day. I've done this since 2007. The superconscious, or God, magnifies it. Whatever the topic is in the subconscious, God will work off of that, okay? If this is negative, God will work off of that too. Okay? God will give you inspired thought on negativity, on how to be anxious. So let's say your subconscious is busy being anxious, and now your subconscious says, okay, we're anxious? Is that what we're doing? Okay. Now it's paid attention to you, right? Because you're anxious. Now it says, okay, we're going to repeat all these anxious actions. We're going to look for evidence of being anxious. We're going to show you more things to be anxious of. And now you're in an anxious loop. And what does God do? God says, oh, that's what you chose? Okay. Now you get intuitive thought about being anxious. And when the doors open and when people come into play, the theme is still anxiety on a spiritual level, on a subconscious level. So some people are not even aware of this because it's subconscious, underneath it, below. Okay, below conscious level. On the conscious level, they can't figure out why this is happening. They're not even aware of what they believe. What they believe to be true. They know some things they believe. They choose consciously to believe this, that, or the other thing, consciously. But subconsciously, their initial paradigm from 1 to 7 years old. They don't remember that. That's why it's called subconscious. When do you remember this? Whenever you get triggered into it, right? And when you get triggered into it, then you go, okay, wait, why did this happen? And you start thinking about it and you go, oh yeah, when I was a little kid or whatever, or maybe in high school, I did this and then this happened. I did that and then that happened. And it keeps coming back, keeps coming back. Why? Because you didn't change it. Can you change it? Yeah, the subconscious is plastic, meaning it can be formed. It can be changed. It can be shaped. You can shape your thinking. You can shape your thinking. You can reshape your thinking and reshape it again constantly. So what I have my clients do is I have them shift like a kaleidoscope. You keep clicking until you get it really, really good. And the more you use your subconscious, the more responsive it gets. Okay, it's not exactly like a muscle, but sometimes I say it's like a muscle. You have to exercise it, which means you have to use it. You have to apply it. You have to consciously work the subconscious. In other words, whatever the topic is, whatever your target is, okay, let's say it's a degree. You have to constantly feed your subconscious things about working towards that degree, about getting to the degree, about accomplishing the degree. Every aspect you can think of towards the goal. Whatever the goal is, it could be a relationship, okay? Start thinking thoughts conducive to relationships. People only start learning about relationships when they go to relationship counseling, when it's not working, when they're about to lose it. At that time, it's probably already over, especially if they're dealing with a woman. Nobody studies relationships before they get into one. I didn't study a relationship until I had to get out of a bad one, but that was the first one, and it doesn't take much to teach me. I learned pretty quick. You see, but some people never learn. That's where you get the serial monogamous from. Okay? Serial, over and over and over and over and over, okay? We could call it subconscious monogamy or subconscious serial monogamy because it's in the subconscious. Okay? The same patterns you go through with wife number 1 or husband, doesn't matter. You go through with wife number 2, wife number 3. Pretty soon it doesn't matter who the wife is. Okay? Because the actions will still repeat itself over and over and over and over. And that could cost you 2 or 3 wives, which could cost you 50% of everything you have every time it happens. Or you could lose 3 husbands or just keep accumulating stuff. Whichever way you want to look at it. But it doesn't correct itself until you correct it. And most people think, oh, that's a big job. I don't want to do all that work. So they enjoy the mess that they are. But the truth of the matter is it's very simple to establish good habits. It's so easy. It's just as easy as falling into a bad habit. You can fall into a good habit. When I started saying thank you, it only took me 2 weeks and I was saying thank you every day without forcing myself to do it. Just did it. Okay, affirmations every day. Here, like this. So this is one that I finished. Looks like this. Okay, and these are affirmations. This is not journaling. These are affirmations. You date them every day. Okay, and this is the one I'm working on now. Okay, so you might want to say something like, I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident, because that will start to clear up your confidence, your stress. Get rid of your stress. stress cannot exist where confidence is. So when you lapse in and out of stress, you're lapsing in and out of confidence. Your subconscious mind is your programmed identity. Programmed identity. And this is why the professionals always identify with their position, with their title, with their degrees, with their education, all of this. This is what Gautama Buddha was talking about when he was talking about the illusion. Okay, the man who sees life as an illusion escapes suffering. But people don't see this illusion. They don't see it. They don't understand that they're part of the illusion. They don't understand that they've been sucked into this physical reality away from the spiritual reality. And they don't understand that they can take the house back. This house, that you can take it back. You don't have to be of the world to be in the world. Christians say that all the time, right? Walk by faith, not by sight. Because sight, right, gives you the illusion. That's what you see. That's why you walk by faith and not by sight. You walk by the spiritual and not by the physical. Because then you attract everything that's yours. Everything that belongs to this one, inside. Before it was corrupted. I don't mean corrupted like politicians are corrupted. I don't mean like that. I don't mean that kind of corruption. I mean you were born in love. You were born in love energy. And then life happens, right? You encounter bad things, whatever, circumstances, whatever. Things beyond your control and things that you can control, but maybe you didn't know how. And it wasn't your fault. Okay? But life happens to all of us. Me too, here, right here, okay? I'm not here because I'm perfect. I'm not here playing perfect. I'm not here pretending I'm perfect. And I'm not here for moral causes. In other words, I'm not here to tell you, well, you need to be morally good. You need to be morally correct. You need to be whatever, religious, whatever. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm telling you how this works. What you apply it to is up to you. You can use a gun for hunting, or you can use a gun to rob a bank. Either way, positive or negative. I'm sorry, what is the question? I'm sorry, Willow? What's Willow's question? I missed that, I'm sorry. Maybe put up, see if you can tag Willow's question. Thank you. Thank you, you're very welcome. So it has nothing to do with good or bad. It has to do with what you want. But be careful what you wish for, because you're going to have to deal with the other end of it. Okay? So most of us go this way for a while, and we get some, and then we go this way for a while, then we get some, then we go over here, and then we get some. And if you take everything in baby steps, guess what? When something goes wrong, the correction is minor. The correction is a baby step. The correction is oh, I'm sorry, go over here. Oh, I'm sorry, go back over here. When you go hard, right? When you go hard, or the ego takes over, the left brain. How many people have we seen do that, right? They get a little fame, they get a little notoriety, and all of a sudden they turn into a little Napoleon. Okay? The ego starts running away with them, the left brain. That's why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. That's why he told the apostles to cast the net to the right side. Because God is here in the right hemisphere of the brain. God lives in here. Okay? And when you start subscribing to that, when you start believing In that, when you start understanding what you have in here and that the kingdom is in here, life gets better, life gets easier. Yeah, yeah. He can DM me anytime. Sure. Okay, so Jay is saying see you tomorrow. Thank you, Jay. Jay is working very hard on that side. You can't see her on certain platforms. She's on TikTok, and we're on several streaming platforms. We're on Streamlabs this morning as well as yeah, some others. We don't normally mention it because the algorithms kind of push us away. So anyway, we will see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and we will say aloha and mahalo for joining us and